Tuesday night, just a good old Tuesday. I want to know who in here is from Chapman? Okay, so many Chapman girls. Do we have any other schools? San Diego State? Where? Okay, louder. Amazing. Oh, a bunch of you. Any other schools here? Biola. And I heard it's your spring break. Wow, dedication. We like that. We like that. Well, guys, I am so excited. Like, this is so much fun. We've been at this now for about a month, which is crazy. We've done 8 of these, and this is the last one, and I'm so excited that we get to finish it out with you guys here. But seriously, just thank you for being here, for traveling, like for showing up, for, our San Diego State girls for like piloting cars together and carpooling and driving 2 hours. Like, I'm just so excited and ready to watch as God moves in each of your hearts tonight. And this tour and everything to do with For the Girl and dating and all that stuff, like it's so much fun. Like, I'm the girl, I love to talk about dating. I want to hear all your cringy, like, first kiss stories. Like, I want to know your type. Like, I want to know all of those things. But you know what I love to talk about even more? Jesus. Yes, Jesus. Yes. Because Jesus is the love story that I truly believe brought each and every one of you here tonight. Like, Jesus is the love story that has gripped my heart the most. It's the one that I'll never get enough of telling people about. It's the love story that can take the loneliest people on the planet one day and make them feel like the most loved people on the planet the next. You see, that love story, this love story, that's what we're here to talk about tonight. And I know that a lot of you probably came in tonight maybe with some questions. Like, you heard that we were going to be talking about dating and relationships, and you were like, finally, like, I'll get my questions answered. Finally, I'll fill in the blanks, like, whatever it is that I've been wanting to know. But I got to be honest and say that I'm not going to stand up here tonight and probably answer those questions. Like, I'm not going to tell you exactly how far is too far with your boyfriend. Like, I'm not going to tell you the exact date that you're going to meet your husband. I'm not going to tell you, like, 5 ways to get your crush to notice you, because I don't know the answers to those questions. And, like, I wish I did. It'd be so fun. Like, I could be like Oprah up here being like, you get a husband, and you get a husband, and you get a husband. And, like, that would be so awesome. But instead, like, I want to spend the next 20 minutes just reminding you of how loved you are, and reminding you to chase after that one love story that matters the most, the one that far surpasses like any rom-com or Pinterest-worthy or Taylor Swift song love story that I know we've all been dreaming about. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. So if you will you just pray with me? God, I just ask that tonight you capture every single heart in this room. God, don't leave one out. God, that every single girl in this room tonight will feel your love. Will feel the love that you have so specifically for them, God. God, tonight I just believe that you want to romance this room. That you want to move in that way, God. God, so just give us hearts that are ready to be molded, that are ready to be healed, that are ready to hear from you, God. We love you. Amen. So I have never been the girl who is very good at New Year's resolutions. Like, we all know the girls who are super good at New Year's resolutions. Like, about a week before New Year's every year, they get on Instagram and they post about like last year's resolution and how awesome they did. And, they like only ate kale for the year, or they like read their Bible 3 hours a day, or they did all these awesome things, and then they start telling us about their new resolution. And there's this trend these days to pick a word for your New Year's resolution. Like, anybody pick a word for this year? Anybody? A couple people? And like, honestly, before this year, I was always the girl who kind of secretly made fun of you guys, and I'm really sorry about that. Because this year, I kind of had to eat my words a little bit, because I decided that I was going to join in on the fun. Being that I'm not good at New Year's resolutions, I was like, all right, I'm going to pick a word for my year. And in total opposition to the normal words that I hear people choose, like beloved, and faith, and hope, and joy, and all these things, I landed upon the word extra for my 2019. Yes, extra. And I know that sounds like a little bit more Kardashian than maybe Christian, but I kind of felt like that's just what I was going for. Like, the word extra is just kind of anti-Christian, mainstream enough that I felt like it really kind of spoke to me. You know, extra, over the top, big, loud, in your face. In total honesty, like at first it was just a joke and like an excuse to be able to wear some outrageous things. I bought some pink sparkly boots. They're like this high, solid sparkles. They're a little ridiculous, but I bought those because my word was extra. But then God turned it into this total God moment for me. And I was at church on the first Sunday of the year, and we watched a video of a pastor in Uganda who was teaching on prayer and fasting. And in the first few minutes of his message, he said this thing that totally stuck with me. He said this super simple statement. He said the only difference in ordinary and extraordinary is the word extra. You know, extra, over the top, big, loud, in your face. And I thought, dang God, I think you're trying to tell me something here. Because you see, at the beginning of this year, I came to this realization that I was sick of leading a mediocre or an ordinary love story. You know, 2018 had been a lot of giving half of my heart to the things that God had wholeheartedly called me into. I was sick of loving my friends and the people around me about 90% of the way, but keeping that final 10% back. I was sick of letting people see almost all of my insecurities or all of my secret sins, but keeping those final few in the dark where I could keep watch over them. But on that Sunday in church, I felt like God said, hey, forget New Year's resolutions. Like, if you want to have an extraordinary life, MacKenzie, you first have to have an extraordinary love for me. And I thought, dang God, like, love you? I mean, yeah, of course I love you. Ordinary love? I mean, yeah, probably, but extraordinary? No. And so that's kind of what I'm dedicating this year to. Like, I want to learn what it looks like to have an extraordinary love for God. You know, extra in the way that I love Him, the way that I speak about Him, the way I show up for people, the way I apologize. I want a big and loud life that magnifies, serves, and honors Jesus and every single person that He sends my way. You know, extra, over the top, big, loud, in your face. And now this word extra, it's seriously marking everything that I do. Everywhere I go, it just reverberates in my mind. And the other day, I found myself at Target on a Saturday morning, just like looking to spend some money. Anybody else ever found them in that place? And I just wound up in the Valentine's section. And the night before, I'd been hanging out with some girlfriends, and it was just one of those nights where all the guys in our life were just doing the wrong things. Like, you guys have had nights like this. You know, the guys are taking way too long to text you back. I mean, we talked about it on the panel, that's just the worst. Taking way too long to text you back. They were saying the wrong things, they weren't doing the right things. And you know, some nights my girlfriends and I, like when the guys aren't treating us right, like some nights we're like, boy, no. Like, you don't treat us like that. But then some nights, like, we just look at each other and we're like, he doesn't like me, take me to Taco Bell, like I need to eat my feelings. And this was a Taco Bell night, like 2 a.m. at the drive-thru Taco Bell, like that's where we were. And so the next day I'm at Target, and I know all my friends are just a little bit bummed out about the guys in their life, and I got this brilliant idea. Like, it's a pretty good idea. And so I proceed to spend just way too much money in the Valentine's section, and I go over to my friend's house at night, and I'm like, guys, we're doing an activity. And I'm a vision girl. Like, I believe if you paint the right vision, people will do anything. And so you can just picture it like, I'm standing up at the fireplace and I'm kind of pacing back and forth, and all my friends they're standing on the couch and they're depressingly looking at me. And I'm like, okay guys, like, here's how I see it. Tonight, we have two options. A, you know, this is a decent option. We can forget about those boys. Just pretend like it never happened, like watch a movie, order a pizza. I mean, that's a good option. That's an okay option. Or B, we can get in our feelings, like deep in our feelings, and partake in the first annual To All the Boys I've Loved Before party. And this is very embarrassing because this actually happened, and we all swore that night that we would never tell anybody, and here I am telling people night after night on Before the Girl Tour. But I said, okay guys, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna light some candles, we're gonna eat some chocolate, and we are going to write letters to every boy that we've ever loved before, to every boy who has broken our heart, to every boy that we've broken theirs, and to every boy that has meant something to us at one point or another. And then guys, we're gonna read these letters out loud to each other, and then I bought this Valentine's mailbox from Target, and we're gonna put them in there, and we're never gonna send them. And so that's what we did. And I know like all of you are turning to each other, and you're planning your To All the Boys I've Loved Before parties, because it's a pretty good Friday night, I gotta say. But we sat around that table for hours and hours, and we wrote letter after letter, and we cried, and we laughed, and we dreamed, and in all its cheesiness, because I know it is so cheesy, it was probably one of my most favorite memories of my entire life. Because even though I've been friends with these girls for years and years, for maybe the first time, I got to see their true, full hearts. And can I just say, like, those hearts were beautiful. And I walked away more in love with my friends than ever before. And it reminded me, you know, I forget that so many of us are walking around with broken hearts. Like with hearts in pieces here and there. A piece that we gave to that breakup. A piece to that person who cheated on you. A piece to that guy that you went too far with physically. A piece to that night that you never told anyone about. A piece to that rejection. A piece to that disappointment. A piece to this and a piece to that. You see, it doesn't matter. Whether you've had 30 boyfriends or you've never been on a date. Whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship, whether you're ready to date or you're terrified of it, you see, there's probably a piece of your heart that you've given away to something that isn't God. But I think God is looking at each of us tonight, and He's saying, hey, if you want an extraordinary life, an extraordinary purpose, an extraordinary love story, you first have to have an extraordinary love for me. You know, extra, over the top, big, loud, in your face. And I think the key to an extraordinary love for God, you see, it doesn't lie in our own will, or our own efforts, or our own abilities. You see, it lies in one simple thing. And that is a whole heart. A whole heart. A whole heart for God. And I want to go to this moment in Deuteronomy 4. It's the first time in the Bible that we have this reference to this idea of loving God wholly. And you know, in Deuteronomy, Moses, he's speaking to the nation of Israel, and he's explaining the Torah. And the Torah is this call to a covenant faithfulness with God for a new generation. And you see, the generation before them was rebellious, and they disobeyed, and they strayed, and they loved God halfway. But Moses, he's calling this new generation to be more faithful to God than the generation before them. To stop worshiping the other gods and to give their full, whole hearts to the one true God, Yahweh. And so in Deuteronomy 4, we have this moment, and it starts in verse 28. It says, "There you will worship man-made gods of wood and stone, which cannot see or hear or eat or smell. But if from there you seek the Lord your God, you will find Him if you seek Him with all your heart, with all your heart and with all your soul. And when you are in distress and all these things have happened to you, then in later days you will return to the Lord your God and obey Him." And I love this scripture. Like, there's so many things that I could pull out from this, but I really want to pull out 3 things for you guys tonight. 3 things that you can remember and that you can walk away with. And so the first, number 1, the first is that your man-made gods will never see you, hear you, or know you like God can. You see, the love story that you have with the Lord, that each and every one of you have with the Lord, is the most real and intimate love story that you can ever know. Yet if we're being honest, so many of us in the room tonight are giving more of our hearts to our earthly love stories than we are to our love story with God. You see, here's the truth. Your boyfriend will never see you, hear you, or know you like God can. Your one-day husband will never see you, know you, or love you like God can. The fantasy love story that you come up with in your head, it doesn't compare to God's love for you. You see, the people of Israel, they were worshiping gods made of wood and stone that couldn't respond to their worship. And in a lot of ways, I think we are too. But instead of gods of wood and stone, our gods that we worship are things like relationships, like attention, like the need to be noticed, like sex, and on and on and on. And we worship them day after day, hoping that they will finally fulfill us, hoping that we'll finally feel loved, hoping that we'll finally feel like we matter or we have value. But you see, the truth is, it's an empty path. Because these man-made gods will never see you, hear you, or know you like God can, so you cannot worship them. Number 2, if you want to seek God, you have to seek Him with all of your heart. Like, is anybody else tired of this halfway stuff? Like, is anybody else tired of giving half of your heart to God? Of waking up in the morning and doing your quiet time and going to the light and going to church and then repeating the same sin that you prayed about 4 hours before, because I know I am. And when I do that, I put all this pressure on myself to make my quiet time longer, or to disciple 5 more women, or to call up my mentor more, or to finally get it right this time. But I think God is looking at each of us in this room tonight, and He's saying, hey, like, this isn't a time issue, or an effort issue, or a sin issue. This is a heart issue. You see, half of your heart is not enough. And I'm like, ooh, but God, like, I gotta keep some of it for me, and my desires, and my need for my attention, and my need to protect what I want in my relationships. Like, God, I'm not so sure if you're gonna give me what I want. But God says, no. Half of your heart is not enough. Like, I want all of you. He's a jealous God. He wants all of you, every piece of you. And in the scripture, Moses was saying that if Israel was to find the Lord, they had to seek Him with all their heart and with all their soul. You see, if you want to find the Lord, like, if you want a real relationship with Him, seek Him with all of you. And then number 3, when you seek God with all of your heart, all of it, and all of your soul, it shows itself in obedience. And I think this is so cool. The scripture says that when you are in distress and all these things have happened to you, then in later days you will return to the Lord your God and obey Him. You see, the result of giving God your whole heart is obedience. And like, ooh, this one is tough too. Because obedience, it isn't cool. It isn't romantic. It isn't sexy. But those questions that I mentioned before that I know some of you came in this room tonight with, I think this might be our answer. You know, you've been wrestling with what to do, or what not to do, or how to make the thing that you want to happen faster, and you're waiting for an answer. And I think the answer is that when we seek Him wholeheartedly, our only response is obedience. You see, we stop asking how far And we see instead that every time we cross that line, every time we push that boundary, we're willingly giving a piece of our heart away. And guys, a half heart for God, a half heart won't respond in obedience, but guys, a whole heart will. You see, a half heart says, oh, but it's not that big of a deal, like it doesn't mean anything. But a whole heart says, no, I know there's something more. A half heart says, but I'm tired of waiting. Like everybody else around me has love. Like, what's wrong with me? Something must be wrong with me. But a whole heart says, no, I trust you, God. I trust you in the plans that you have for me. A half heart says, but we've been together for so long. Like, I can't imagine my life without him. How could I ever break up with him? But a whole heart says, I know that comfort doesn't mean growth. A half heart says, but maybe he'll like me. Maybe he'll like me if I'm more like this or I'm more like that. But a whole heart says, no. I am confident in who I am and who God created me to be. A half heart says, pour me. Like, pour me while she waits. But a whole heart chases her passions. And she lets God use her in incredible ways right here and right now. You see, when you seek God with all of your heart and all of your soul, it shows itself in obedience. A half heart questions, a half heart doubts and controls, but a whole heart says, God, I submit to your ways because I know that you know my heart better than anyone. So just to recap, number one, the love you experience here on earth, it will never measure up to the love that God has for you. So you cannot worship it. Number two, if you want to have an extraordinary love for God, like an extraordinary love for him, maybe you've looked around at some of the people around you and you think, wow, they love God. Like it is in every single thing they do. I want a relationship with God that looks like that. Well, guys, here's our answer. You've got to give him all of you. Not 90%, not 99%, 100%, every little piece of your heart. And then number three, the result of giving God your whole heart will always be obedience. If you want to know if you've given half of your heart or all of your heart to God, check your obedience. Like, where in your life have you started ignoring his voice? Where in your life have you started stretching the boundaries that you've always lived by? Where in your life have you settled for less than? Where in your life have you stopped honoring him with your words and your actions? You see, if you want to know how much of your heart you've given to God, you can check it by how obedient you are to his voice in your life. And I love this moment because it reminds me, it takes me back to this, to our party with all the girls, and we're sitting around the table and we're writing these letters. We're writing these letters, and it was a great night, but I just can't help but wonder if God is sitting up there. God is sitting and looking at us and just saying, hey, I know that pain that you still experience from that breakup. Like, I know that pain that you still experience from that rejection. I know the pain. I see the pain of that guy who didn't notice you. I see the pain of that night that you never told anyone about. I see the pain of all of that. Hey, just look up. Just look up. Because this love that you're chasing, this love that you're looking for in all these different places, like, it's right here. I love you with every fiber. And I feel like that's just what God wants to say to us tonight. Like, I feel like he's just saying, hey, look up. This love story that you're chasing after, like, it is right here and it's right now if you would only look up. And it all begins with this whole heart, with giving your whole heart to him. And guys, just to clarify, like, a whole heart, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have stories of heartbreak. Like, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have cracks and bruises and scars. It doesn't mean that it still doesn't desire to be in love, to get married, and to be a wife, and to have a beautiful love story. but it's a heart that is in one piece and that beats minute after minute, second after second for God. You see, your heart fuels your entire body. Like when it stops beating, you stop living. So let God fuel your heart so that it will fuel your life tonight. Tonight, like we are done with ordinary love stories. I think this is our moment. All of us to step into our extraordinary love stories with God. No more halfway. No more ordinary. Tonight it's extra, it's over the top, it's big, it's loud, it's in your face, and it starts. It starts with a whole heart for Him. I'm going to invite Chris and Deb back up here to lead us in worship, but at this time, just close your eyes and I want to pray for us. I want to pray for your hearts, each and every one of them. God, tonight I just ask, once again, God, that you would touch our hearts. God, that you would help us tonight to begin to identify the pieces of our hearts that have slipped away, the pieces that have broken off, the piece that we gave to that rejection. God, help us to identify the piece that we gave to that breakup, to that disappointment, to that guy from high school, to that night we never told anyone about, to those places in the secret, in the quiet place. God, help us to identify each and every piece. God, help us just to gather them up, put them in our hands, and bring them to your feet. And I just see you standing there, Jesus, with open hands, ready to receive all these pieces of our hearts, taking them in your hands, and squeezing your hands together. And every piece of our heart that we thought was too far gone, every piece of our heart that we thought we'd lost, every piece of our heart that we thought would never heal, God, you're piecing them back together. God, that you're fusing the pieces back in. God, that what was once a million little broken fragments is now a whole heart. God, tonight you're giving us whole hearts. God, and I just ask that in the next few minutes, this is just a place of worship. Because I believe that with whole hearts that are centered on your love, that know your love, God, that changes everything. It changes the way we worship. It changes the way we pray. It changes the way we love people. It changes everything, God. God, and tonight, I just think tonight is the night that in 50 years, when we're sitting with our grandchildren and we're old and gray and we're telling them about this night, we're saying, hey, 50 years ago, I fell in love. I realized for the first time what true love is, what real love is. That was the night that God won my heart. That was the night where God romanced me. That was the night where I stood on the toes of my Father in heaven and I danced with Him. I danced with Him. He spun me around. He looked in my eyes and reminded me and told me and promised to me how loved I am in His eyes. God, help us to feel the weight and the gravity of that love. You see, this isn't a love story that is fleeting or that will go away. This is the eternal love story. The love story that started thousands of years ago when you sent your Son to die on the cross for us, God. God, the weight and the magnitude of that love, help us feel that right here, right now, tonight.